Hey guys, this is Jeff from Icons and Outlaws podcast. We get asked all the time, how do we create our content, our music, and everything we add into the podcast? The answer is simple but not. So I'm going to show you what it takes and what you need to be able to create digital content on your own, digital music, and you could actually record a podcast the way I'm doing this. So stick around and I'm going to show you the answers. Now, before we get started, don't forget to click the sub and the like buttons, all right? And don't forget to tune in to Icons and Outlaws podcast. It's on every streaming service you can find, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere. Check it out. Okay, so you're going to need three things. First and foremost, you're going to need a computer. It could be a Mac, it could be a PC, a laptop. Computers have come a long way since the beginning of these home studio days about 20 years ago. They're pretty powerful now for an inexpensive price. So you need a computer. Secondly, you need software. You'll see this online. It's referred to as a DAW, D-A-W. That stands for Digital Audio Workstation, okay? There's hundreds of them. There's free ones, there's expensive ones, there's good ones, there's bad ones. They're all over the place. You're gonna wanna find one that A, fits your budget, and B, has a small learning curve to it, okay? I myself, I've used pretty much all of them for the past 20 years, and I find that I really, really enjoy and like Apple Logic X. So that's what I use, and that's what you'll be seeing me use today. The third thing you're gonna need is creativity and imagination, okay? If you got some kind of creative bone in you, you can make music. You can learn how to do it, okay? So, let's get into this. Okay, as you can see here, I have Logic Pro open. This is my DAW of choice, my digital audio workstation or software program that I use to create all my content in. Again, there is a million out there. There's free ones, there's expensive ones, there's middle of the road ones. And a lot of times you get them free with equipment. So you can see in the camera here, I have a MIDI controller, which you don't have to have, but it makes your life a lot easier. And I'll show you how. You're also going to want to, if you're going to do outside recording, you're going to want what's called an interface, okay? There's a million of those too, and they range different in price. You could get a little solo one, I think on Amazon for $80. And you can get a big elaborate one for $500. They're all over the map. But if you want to do any outside recording, I suggest getting an interface and using that as well. Okay, so inside here of Logic Pro, I have an empty template here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add an instrument. So I go to here, and I have a software instrument selected, and I'm going to go to one of my favorites, just to give you an idea of stuff you can do here. This is XLN Audio Addictive Keys, and what this is essentially it's a recorded piano, a studio piano. So let me go ahead and create this track. Okay, so this is on track 2. Let me get rid of this track here. That was a placeholder. Okay, so now I'm on Addictive Keys. If I open this up, you can see I have all these different options for a piano. Well, if you hear, and I have a slight delay from this camera, so bear with me. But it sounds like a real piano, a real studio piano, and there's all kinds of settings. Now, this is what's called a plugin. However, most DAWs come with plugins already built in. So, for instance, Logic Pro has their own piano, which isn't bad. I prefer this one. I just think it sounds better. So I'm going to show you one thing you can do is, let's say you got to create some music content, okay? So that's not bad. But let's check this one out. So I like that one better. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go with that setting, all right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit record, and I'm going to lay down a MIDI map of the keys I'm playing. And this is what happens. So as you could see, what I played on the keyboard is actually written into a digital map here called MIDI file. Now, obviously, with the delays and whatnot, I'm not dead on the click. You could see how these are kind of all staggered, but that can be easily fixed. So I can highlight these and hit quantize, and it automatically moves them to the next beat, okay? So now, you can hear that one's off, and that one's off. So I can move each piece into its proper place. And obviously this is off by a whole step, so we can select and move that, and then move this back here. Okay, and then we have this. And let's say I don't like these last three notes, simply delete them. Okay, and you'll notice the colors are different. That's the velocity. So how hard I hit the key, hear how it's louder, and if I hit it soft. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this into place. I'm going to create a loop. And I want it to end there, okay? So I go to the grid, zoom in, and I have this looped now. So now I can just tail it and have it play over and over and over. Now, another great thing about this particular DAW is that, let's say I wanted to add in a beat. Now I could go in with what's called a drum machine and make my own beat with different snares, kicks, hi-hats, cymbals, the whole works. There's tons of stuff. But just to save time, I'm going to go ahead and use Apple's built-in beat loops. And this is the library here. So now what I can do is I can play my track and put a beat to it. Okay, so let's say I want to use that. And again, we're just generically doing this here. So now I have this, and I can turn my click off. Okay, so you get the basics of it. Again, I'll go into further detail in other videos, but this is just kind of to show you how you can create your own digital content and your own music, your own background music. You can even record, if you have a mic set up, you can record your voice. So if you want to do a podcast, you can actually record your entire episode in here and put layers under here. There's other plugins for EQs, for vocal effects. I mean, the options are endless. So now that you got an idea of how you can create music, let me show you what you do with it. Okay, so this is one of the tracks that we did for the show. One of the cool things we do with Icons and Outlaws is whoever we're covering for that episode, we actually do a rendition or cover of one of their songs done the way we do it. So we happen to do things like electronically, like I've been showing you. So this is for Scott Weiland of the band Stone Temple Pilots. We decided to cover the song Big Empty. So as you can see here, all these bits and pieces, minus this is John's vocals, but all this stuff up here was all pieces and parts that I handwrit with the MIDI controller and using different sounds, and we put it all together. And I'm going to give you a kind of a little preview of what you can essentially do over many hours. Now, obviously, there's tons of shortcuts, and you learn over time how to be quicker and how to get things done more efficiently. So when you're looking at this, don't be like, oh, well, how long did that take you? I mean, over time, like I said, you learn and you find shortcuts and you figure out how to do things quickly. So this is just a little preview of Big Empty. I can go in. I could solo out his vocals if I wanted to.
Smoke a cigarette and lie. These conversations.
Bass I did on here. And all these pieces and parts were written in MIDI with different plugins and different sounds. So that's all you get before John yells at me. But you could see once you get the hang of things and once you figure out, like I said, the shortcuts and you learn the ropes of it and you get comfortable with it and you spark that creativity you can do some amazing things. All right, so that wraps up for today. I know it's a little overwhelming. Feel free to ask any questions you got in the comments below, and we will answer them. And stay tuned for the next episode. We'll go into more detail about MIDI and everything else. All right, and tune into Icons and Outlaws. See you later.